Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift, not because of what you said, but simply because you were there? Some souls carry an unseen force, an aura so powerful that it doesn't need to speak to be felt. It stirs something in others: curiosity, discomfort, even fear, and often without explanation. But what if the very thing that unsettles people about you is your truth? When your aura is powerful, it acts like a psychological spotlight, one that shines not just outward, but directly into the hidden corners of other people's minds. You do not need to say anything provocative or make bold moves. Your presence alone unsettles because it reflects something deeper. Insecure individuals are often protecting fragile identities constructed from external validation, unresolved wounds, or unacknowledged fears. When you enter a space with authenticity and inner clarity, it threatens these unstable structures. You become a living contrast to what they have suppressed. This unconscious recognition stirs a discomfort in them, often before they consciously understand why. They may feel judged even when you're silent, because your presence quietly invites truth into the room. Your energy demands a kind of honesty that not everyone is ready to confront. Insecure people project their inadequacies onto you, painting you as arrogant, cold, or intimidating. Not because you are any of these things, but because these projections protect their egos from facing the uncomfortable reality that they feel lesser in your presence. You've done nothing but exist with integrity, but that integrity acts like a mirror. The deeper your aura resonates with alignment and authenticity, the louder the shadows in others begin to stir. The disturbance you create isn't deliberate, it's energetic. And for those who are not ready to meet themselves with honesty, your energy feels like a silent challenge, a confrontation with the very parts of themselves they are trying to avoid. When your aura holds a rare intensity, people tend to misjudge or misunderstand you without truly knowing who you are. This happens because your energy does not conform to social expectations or predictable emotional signals. You may speak little, observe more, or carry yourself with an inner certainty that unsettles others. In response, they fill in the blanks with assumptions based on their own unresolved biases and fears. They interpret your silence as arrogance, your depth as manipulation, or your independence as coldness. These misinterpretations are not reflections of your character, but projections of their internal confusion. People often need predictability to feel secure, and when your presence disrupts that predictability, they create stories around you to restore their sense of control. Your energy challenges the narratives people hold about how others should behave. They expect social masks, rehearsed politeness, and emotional accessibility on demand. When you do not offer these, they assume the worst. This reaction is rarely about you. It is about their inability to understand something that does not mirror their expectations. A powerful aura often bypasses surface-level interaction and touches something deeper, which many are not ready to access. The moment they feel this unspoken depth, they either lean in with curiosity or retreat with discomfort. Those who are not attuned to such energy tend to react defensively, interpreting your authenticity as threat. Without any conscious effort on your part, your very nature becomes a psychological riddle, one they'd rather reject than solve. When your aura is strong, you don't need to speak or act boldly to draw attention. Your presence alone creates a gravitational pull. This isn't about charisma in the conventional sense. It's about energetic frequency. You emit a vibration that people subconsciously register, even if they can't define it. In a crowded room, eyes may drift toward you without understanding why. You may notice people pausing when you walk by, or conversations momentarily halting when you enter a space. These subtle reactions are not coincidences. They are responses to an energy field that holds weight, depth, and authenticity, qualities that pierce through superficial distractions. This kind of attention is not always admiring. Sometimes it's curious, sometimes cautious, and often confused. People are drawn to what feels real, but reality at that level also exposes them to emotional resonance they might not be prepared for. Your stillness holds more power than some people's loudest expressions. Without saying a word, you communicate confidence, self-possession, and awareness, and this often contrasts sharply with the performance most people are accustomed to putting on. They don't know how to interpret your energy because it doesn't seek approval or validation. It simply exists, anchored, clear, and unapologetically alive. This energetic magnetism is not about trying to be seen, it's about being fully present. That presence sends a silent signal into the room, stirring emotions in others they may not have felt in a long time: curiosity, admiration, intimidation, or even longing for something more real. When your aura carries deep awareness and emotional sensitivity, others often feel as though they are being truly seen in your presence, and that can be profoundly unsettling. Most people walk through life wearing emotional masks, carefully crafted identities to protect their vulnerabilities. But when you engage with them, your energy bypasses those masks. It's not about staring or speaking with intensity. It's the way your attention holds them, without judgment, as if you're looking past the surface and straight into the core. That gaze, that energetic presence, creates a moment where they feel exposed, even if you said nothing at all. This feeling of being seen activates something in them that may have been long buried: shame, insecurity, unresolved pain. Because you are not interacting on a superficial level, people become aware of the emotional layers they usually hide. You don't force this process. It happens because your consciousness doesn't dance around appearances. It lands quietly on truth. Some people respond with gratitude, feeling a rare sense of relief and authenticity. Others, however, recoil. They may become defensive, uncomfortable, or even hostile, not because you did anything wrong, but because they're not ready to be seen in that way. You might notice people quickly changing the subject, breaking eye contact, or joking to lighten the moment. These are unconscious strategies to retreat from the feeling of emotional nakedness. The power of your aura lies not in confrontation, but in illumination, and illumination, especially of the soul, is not something everyone welcomes. A powerful aura often reflects emotional and spiritual maturity that feels far beyond your years, and this maturity can unsettle those still heavily governed by ego or external appearances. You might not have had an easy path. Often such depth is carved through internal struggle, self-confrontation, and silence. As a result, you carry an energy that is grounded, calm, and inwardly anchored. You respond with thoughtfulness instead of reactivity, seek meaning over attention, and value depth more than approval. People sense this, even if they can't articulate it. Your presence carries the weight of someone who has seen beyond the masks of the world and has chosen not to wear one. This maturity can make others feel insecure, especially those who base their worth on status, appearance, or validation. When you enter a space, you're not competing, performing, or striving, and that contrast highlights how much others are. It reveals the superficiality of their interactions and the fragility of their self-image. You may be younger than them or less experienced on paper, yet they feel the imbalance of depth. This makes them question themselves in uncomfortable ways. Your clarity and emotional intelligence may also lead people to seek your insight or emotional support, even when you didn't offer it. They are drawn to your inner balance, yet may resist it at the same time. You are not swayed by trends or peer pressure. Your compass is internal, and for those who haven't developed that compass, your presence is both fascinating and destabilizing. When your aura holds a quiet strength and authenticity, it often evokes hostility from others without any clear or rational cause. This happens not because of something you've done, but because of how your presence affects people on a subconscious level. Your energy carries truth, and truth can be deeply unsettling for those who live disconnected from their inner world. They may not consciously realize why they feel agitated or uncomfortable around you, but their behavior shifts. Sarcasm sharpens, passive aggression surfaces, or outright rejection appears. This is a defense mechanism. Your energy threatens the emotional defenses they've built to protect fragile identities. What others perceive as intimidating is often just your self-possession. You are not seeking control or attention, but you cannot be controlled either, and that autonomy disturbs people who are used to manipulating others through approval, fear, or conformity. In some cases, individuals may even lash out to re-establish dominance, not because you've challenged them directly, but because your mere presence makes them feel small. The hatred or aggression isn't truly about you. It's about what you awaken in them that they do not want to face. You may find yourself targeted or criticized in environments where insecurity or unhealed trauma runs deep. People unconsciously sense that your aura penetrates falsehood, and rather than confront their own discomfort, they externalize it. You become a symbol of something they cannot control, cannot understand, and cannot manipulate. And for some, that's enough to provoke hostility without cause. When your aura vibrates at a higher, more conscious frequency, you often find yourself standing alone, not by choice but by energetic reality. You may deeply crave connection, companionship, and mutual understanding, yet the depth of your presence can make others retreat. People often sense that you are different, even if they can't explain why. It's not a matter of superiority or separation by belief. It's simply that your internal resonance doesn't match the surface-level frequencies that most social groups operate on. While others bond over trivialities or emotional performance, your energy remains anchored in authenticity, which makes shallow interactions feel draining or false. Many individuals are still unconsciously seeking validation, affirmation, and identity through group dynamics. When you show up as whole, self-aware, emotionally independent, and spiritually grounded, you don't feed into those unspoken emotional contracts. This difference creates a subtle but undeniable rift. People feel it, and while some may admire it from a distance, they often don't approach. They might say, "You're hard to read, too intense, or different." These words often conceal a truth they don't fully understand. Your presence demands truth, and not everyone is ready to live in that kind of light. So you remain on the outskirts, not because you've rejected others, but because your energy naturally repels those unwilling to meet themselves fully. This solitude is not a punishment, but a natural consequence of resonance. Until others rise to meet you where you are, the silence becomes more comfortable than the noise of false connection. When your aura is powerful, one of its most subtle yet profound qualities is the ability to sense the intentions and emotional states of others almost instantly. This isn't about mind reading or superficial observation. It's an energetic sensitivity, a form of intuitive knowing that bypasses spoken words and reaches straight into the essence of a person. You walk into a room and feel the tension behind a smile, the resentment hidden beneath politeness, or the envy masked by praise. This ability to read between the lines makes others feel exposed, even if you've said nothing about what you sense. People pick up on your perceptiveness, even if they don't consciously understand it. They feel seen in ways that can make them uncomfortable. They may become guarded, avoid eye contact, or behave in ways that feel overly defensive or performative. Your aura acts like a mirror, not because you reflect what's on the surface, but because you quietly recognize what lies beneath. You might not speak it, but your stillness, your presence, communicates awareness. This awareness challenges people who are used to hiding behind social roles or emotional facades. This sensitivity is often mistaken for judgment, when in reality it comes from deep empathy and clarity. But those who aren't ready to confront their own incongruence may feel threatened by your insight. Without intending to, you expose dishonesty, not through confrontation, but through your mere awareness. Your energetic field resonates with truth, and truth makes people nervous when they've lived too long in pretense. When your aura holds deep emotional resonance, people often feel drawn to share parts of themselves they usually keep hidden, even if they've just met you. Strangers may confide in you about past wounds, current fears, or unresolved emotions without understanding why they feel safe doing so. It's not that you invite this behavior consciously. It's that your energy feels like a container, something stable, compassionate, and unshakably present. People instinctively sense they won't be judged in your presence. They feel a quiet invitation to release what's heavy within them. What's happening underneath is a kind of energetic projection. Your presence evokes in them a feeling of being seen and accepted, and that stirs something ancient inside, a longing to be known, healed, or unburdened. Because you are anchored in your own emotional world, others unconsciously transfer their pain to you as if handing it off for safekeeping. This is not a flaw in them or in you, it's a response to the rare energy of containment and depth. However, this dynamic can be exhausting. People may walk away feeling lighter while you're left holding what they've released. They might not even acknowledge the emotional exchange because it happened on a level they can't articulate. You become a silent witness to their inner world, a temporary vessel for what they've never shared before. It's a gift, but also a burden, if not balanced with boundaries. The power of your aura lies in its ability to absorb and reflect truth. And truth, even in silence, always finds a way out. When your aura radiates authentic strength and quiet confidence, others may feel envy toward you, even if you remain humble and non-competitive. This envy often has little to do with your actions and everything to do with what your presence symbolizes. Your self-assurance, emotional clarity, or natural magnetism highlights what others feel they lack. Without trying, you become a contrast to their inner struggles, their hidden insecurities, and the parts of themselves they haven't yet integrated. They see in you something they deeply desire: stability, self-respect, inner peace, and rather than being inspired, they feel diminished. Even when you offer kindness or humility, the reaction can still be resentment, because your energy does not seek approval, it stands firm. That level of inner wholeness becomes a silent challenge to those who rely on external validation to feel worthy. They may feel threatened by your ability to remain centered when they are easily thrown off. It's not that you boast or seek superiority. In fact, you may try to downplay your strengths to make others comfortable, but your aura continues to speak a language beyond words, a language of alignment, truth, and quiet power. People may not even realize they envy you. Their discomfort shows up as passive aggression, subtle exclusion, or unjust criticism. Your humility won't shield you from these reactions because it's not about how you behave. It's about how your being unsettles those who are still fragmented within. Your light exposes their shadows, and their envy is simply the shadow's resistance to being seen. When your aura holds grounded strength and emotional resilience, others may become uncomfortable witnessing how you navigate hardship without falling apart. In moments of crisis, where most people react with panic, confusion, or the need for external reassurance, you remain calm, collected, and centered. This inner stability is not something you announce. It radiates through your presence, and that steadiness often draws confusion or even resentment from those who feel destabilized by life's chaos. They can't understand how you maintain clarity in the storm, and instead of seeking to learn from your composure, they question your sincerity or humanity. Your calm is often mistaken for emotional detachment or indifference, but it's the product of deep inner work. You've faced your own darkness, made peace with your fears, and learned to self-regulate from a place of self-awareness. Because of this, your reactions are not impulsive, they are deliberate and thoughtful. In the eyes of others who have not yet cultivated this depth, your presence during difficult moments acts like a silent mirror to their own fragility. They may project anger onto you or accuse you of being cold, not realizing their discomfort comes from feeling exposed. This strength can create emotional distance between you and others, especially when people rely on collective panic or shared emotional chaos as a form of bonding. You don't participate in the drama, and that separation is both your strength and their trigger. Your calmness, rather than soothing them, challenges their dependency on emotional turbulence as a way to feel alive or connected. When your aura carries authentic confidence and self-mastery, it often triggers discomfort or even subtle fear in authority figures or dominant personalities. These individuals are often used to controlling their environments through status, charisma, or hierarchy. And when they encounter someone who cannot be easily influenced or intimidated, they sense a quiet threat to their unspoken power. You don't challenge them directly or confront their authority, but your presence alone conveys that you are not dependent on their approval. That silent independence unsettles them, because it reveals that true power does not need validation or position, it simply is. Authority figures may find themselves questioning why you make them uneasy, especially if you are respectful, calm, and competent. The reason lies in energy. Your inner stability reflects what they may lack, despite their outward dominance. They may interpret your autonomy as arrogance or rebelliousness, even if your intentions are rooted in integrity. What they are reacting to is not behavior. It is the energetic reality that you are not easily swayed, impressed, or manipulated. This often leads to subtle forms of opposition. You might be overlooked, dismissed, or treated with unnecessary scrutiny, not because of any fault, but because your self-assured presence quietly disrupts their control dynamic. You remind them, consciously or not, that status is hollow without inner substance. While others may seek favor through compliance or flattery, you bring something they cannot control: authenticity, and for some in positions of authority, authenticity is the one energy they are not prepared to confront or manage. When your aura is deeply aligned with truth and transformation, you often act as a catalyst for change in others without saying a word or trying to influence them. People sense something in your energy that awakens dormant parts of themselves, emotions they've suppressed, questions they've avoided, or desires they've buried. Simply being near you can trigger internal shifts, and these shifts can feel both inspiring and destabilizing. You become a silent force that stirs movement in the unconscious, making people confront aspects of themselves they've left untouched for years. This isn't because you impose your will. It's because your presence carries the vibration of authenticity, and that vibration disrupts complacency. Others may begin questioning their life choices after speaking with you. They may leave a conversation with you and suddenly feel the urge to break out of toxic patterns, leave unfulfilling relationships, or seek a more meaningful path. These reactions often happen quietly after the interaction has ended, because the transformation you spark is energetic before it becomes cognitive. People might even resist or avoid you initially, feeling inexplicably unsettled, only to later recognize that something about your presence pushed them toward growth. This transformational effect can be isolating. You may not always witness the results, and people might never tell you how deeply you affected them, but the impact remains. Your aura disturbs their inner stagnation, not by force, but by simply being what it is, a living reflection of what's possible when someone lives in alignment with their soul's truth. If you find yourself constantly misunderstood, envied, avoided, or emotionally overloaded by the people around you, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because your aura holds a frequency that not everyone is prepared to meet. You carry presence, depth, and authenticity in a world addicted to illusion, and that energy disrupts the unconscious patterns people cling to. But your role is not to shrink yourself to ease their discomfort. Your role is to remain grounded in who you are, whole, aware, and real. Because the very light that disturbs others is often the light that frees them. You were not made to be digestible to those who haven't met themselves. You were made to be a mirror, a trigger, a fire igniting transformation in ways even you may never see.